The gravel crunched under my tires like bones breaking underfoot. I gripped the wheel tighter, the valley air already thinning in my lungs, carrying scents of dust and dry hay that clung to everything. I'd fled the city not for rest, but because hiding there had hollowed me out, pretending, always pretending, until my truth felt like a stranger's lie. Who was I anymore without the mask? Trust in people, in myself, had crumbled like old fence posts. The ranch house loomed ahead, a place from childhood shadows. My hand hesitated on the door, then knocked, unexpected even to me. It started in the city, that breakdown. Not with a crash, but a slow unraveling. I'd built a life there, or tried to. Office job in a glass tower, friends who laughed at my jokes but never saw the weight I carried. The closet I'd stepped into as a girl back home had become a cage, bars reinforced by every sideways glance, every whispered prayer at the family church. One night, after a coworker cornered me at drinks, asking why I never talked about dates, the words stuck in my throat like barbed wire. I drove home shaking, the apartment walls closing in. By morning, I'd packed a bag, left a note to my boss about family emergency, and pointed the car west, toward the ranch, toward silence. The road wound through canyons, red rock faces, staring down like judges. Hours blurred, my mind replaying fragments. My mother's voice from years ago. God doesn't make mistakes, but choices have consequences. I'd nodded then, buried deeper. The city had promised freedom, but it only amplified the hiding. Now, exhaustion pulled at me. A bone-deep ache. I needed ground under my feet, something solid to lean on before I fell apart completely. The ranch gate creaked as I pulled in, rusted but sturdy. This place wasn't mine, never had been, but my aunt had worked here summers ago, dragging me along as a kid. I'd hated the chores then, the endless horizon that made secrets feel exposed. But now, as the house came into view, weathered wood and a sagging porch, it felt like the only anchor left. Dust swirled in my headlights, the sun dipping low, painting the hills in bruised purples. I killed the engine, sat for a moment listening to the tick of cooling metal. Then I stepped out, boots sinking into soft earth. The door opened before I knocked twice. She stood there, silhouetted against the warm light spilling from inside. Tall, broad-shouldered, with hair cropped short under a faded cap. Her face was lined, not from age, but weather, sun and wind carving quiet strength. "Can I help you?" Her voice was low, steady like the rumble of distant thunder. I swallowed. "I'm looking for work, or a place, I don't know." Words tumbled out, raw. She didn't flinch, just eyed me, taking in the city dust on my jeans, the tremble in my hands. "You related to Old Man Hargrove? He mentioned a niece once?" Her gaze held, unflinching. "My aunt worked here. I'm Harper." "No last name." "Not yet." She nodded once. "Tessa, this is my place now. Been running it 5 years. No questions about why I was there, no pity in her tone. Just fact. You know ranch work?" "Some, from summers ago. Lies, mostly. But I needed this. Come on in. We'll see." She stepped aside, and I followed, the screen door slapping shut behind us. Inside smelled of pine soap and leather. The kitchen table held a half-eaten plate of stew, steam curling up. She gestured to a chair. "Eat first, then talk." I sat, hunger hitting sudden and fierce. She ladled a bowl without asking, set it down with a chunk of bread. Her hands caught my eye, calloused, steady, nails short and clean. They moved with purpose, like they'd tamed worse than a pot of carrots. I ate in silence, the warmth spreading through me, grounding the shake in my chest. "You're not here for vacation," she said finally, leaning against the counter, arms crossed. "No." I met her gaze, quiet but piercing. "Lost my way in the city. Need to start over. Work for room if that's possible." She considered, wiping her hands on a rag. "Bunkhouse out back's empty, but it's not charity. You pull your weight. Muck stalls, mend fences. Town's small, folks talk. You okay with that?" My stomach twisted. The town, conservative as ever, church steeples piercing the sky like accusations. Exposure here meant more than gossip. It meant family doors slamming, faith I'd already half lost crumbling entirely. But what choice? Yeah, I can handle it. Shovels by the barn, start tomorrow at dawn. She turned. No handshake, just the scrape of her boots on the floorboards. Night, Harper. I nodded, finishing the bowl. The weight of it all pressed down. Self gone. Trust shattered. But her offer felt like a rope tossed into the dark. Outside, the air cooled, stars pricking the sky like distant warnings. The bunkhouse was simple. Cot, lantern, a window facing the corrals. I dropped my bag, the floorboards creaking under me. Dust motes danced in the moonlight. My muscles ached already, not from work, but disuse. City life softening what ranch summers had hardened. I stripped to my shirt, lay back, staring at the rafters. Silence wrapped around me, thick as wool. No city hum, no neighbors' walls, just the ranch breathing. Then, a howl split the night. Coyotes, distant, but sharp. My heart thudded, echoing the call. It felt like the wild calling me out, testing if I'd break. I pulled the blanket up, breath steadying. Tomorrow, the shovels wait. Tomorrow, proving I could stand. Dawn came gray and cold. I found the barn, the shovel leaning like an old friend. Its handle was rough, wood worn smooth in places. I hefted it, the heft pulling at unused shoulders, a dull ache blooming in my arms. Stalls first. Hay matted with manure, the sharp tang hitting my nose. I pitched it out, sweat beading despite the chill. Each forkful felt like shedding city skin, layer by layer. Tessa appeared mid-morning, leading a horse, her stride even. She watched me a moment, then nodded. Not bad. Fence line next. Wires tangled by the creek. We walked out together, tools clanging softly. Her presence was quiet, no chatter. Just the crunch of boots, the wind whispering through sagebrush. At the fence she knelt, hands deftly twisting wire, muscles taut under her shirt. I watched, then joined, our fingers brushing once over a post. Quick, accidental. My pulse jumped, but she didn't notice, or didn't show. The town loomed in my mind, a shadow. Church bells would ring Sunday, pulling folks to pews where eyes judged silently. My family lived 10 miles off, close enough for whispers to carry. What if they heard I was back, working for Tessa, the widow who'd bought the place after her folks passed? Rumors already swirled about her, living alone, no man in sight. I pushed it down, focused on the wire biting my palms. By noon, my back screamed, muscles protesting the rhythm they'd forgotten. But there was something in it. Body moving, earth giving way. Tessa called a break, handing me a canteen. Water, cool, metallic. You hold up? Her gaze steady, seeing too much. Yeah. Lie, but close enough. She grunted, looking out over the valley. Takes time. Body remembers. That night, bunkhouse again. Coyote howls returned, closer now, threading through the dark. I lay awake, the ache a companion. Fear gnawed. Exposure, the town's grip. But Tessa's offer lingered, a crack in the door. Maybe here, in the labor, I'd find pieces of myself again. Days blurred into a rhythm of sweat and soil. Dawn pulled me from the cot, the bunkhouse air thick with dew. I'd lace my boots, the leather stiff at first, then head to the barn. Mucking stalls became ritual. Fork piercing the damp hay, the scrape of manure against concrete. The scent hit sharp, earthy, mixing with the faint copper of horse sweat. I'd haul it out in wheelbarrow loads, arms burning, back curving like a bow under strain. Tessa joined by mid-morning, her shadow falling long across the corral. We'd tackle fences then, under a sun that clawed at your skin. Harsh light beat down, turning the valley into a furnace. Wire, twisted, stubborn, posts leaning like tired spines. I'd hammer nails, the thud echoing in my chest while she snipped barbs with cutters that clicked precise. No words most times, just the clank of tools, the groan of wood settling. My hands blistered first week, palms raw, but they toughened, calluses forming like armor. Body remembered slow, Muscles woke protesting, aches threading through shoulders and thighs. City softness peeled away, layer by layer. I'd pause at noon, leaning on a post, breath ragged, watching dust devils spin lazy in the heat. Tessa would nod toward the house, and we'd eat simple beans and cornbread, water from the well cold and clean, her portions equal, no favoritism. Gratitude swelled then, warm in my gut, but suspicion trailed it. Why this? A stranger's roof. Work without questions. Folks didn't give without taking. Not in places like this. Shared silences grew comfortable, almost. We'd work side by side, her steady pace setting mine. Once, splicing wire by the creek, our knees brushed in the dirt. She didn't pull away, just kept twisting pliers. I felt the heat of it, not just sun, but something quieter. Unspoken understanding flickered there. No need to fill the air with chatter. Her gaze would meet mine, brief, unflinching. Seeing the strain I hid, it eased the knot in my chest, just a fraction. Flashbacks crept in during quiet stretches. Hometown pressures, thick as summer humidity. Church Sundays, pews hard under me. Preacher's voice booming about sin and salvation. I'd sit beside family, hands folded tight, eyes on the hymnal. Whispers after. Cousins teasing about boys, Ma's hopeful glances at the eligible sons of deacons. Time to settle, Harper, she'd say, voice soft but edged. I'd nod, bury deeper. The closet wasn't choice, it was survival. One slip, and the whole town knew. Faith twisted then, God as watcher, judging every stolen glance at a girl's curve in the schoolyard. Leaving for city felt escape, but pressures followed, invisible chains. Tessa hinted at her own weight one afternoon as we dragged felled branches to burn. Place was my folks, she said, voice low over the crack of wood. They passed close together, heart for him, then her gone quiet after. No more, just the heft of limbs in our arms. Widow, town called her, though no ring ever mentioned. She ran it alone, dawn to dusk, no help hired till now. I wondered at the solitude, the way she moved through chores like they anchored her. Did she hide too? The thought lingered, suspicion softening to curiosity. Gratitude built steady, like fence posts driven deep. Meals shared, her passing salt without ask. Bunkhouse swept clean, a lantern left lit on cold nights. But doubt gnawed. Kindness this pure felt trap. What if town talk reached her? Or family? I'd catch myself watching her hands, steady on reins, wondering if she'd turn cold once truth slipped. Yet the labor bound us, body to earth, her presence a quiet pull. That evening, firelight danced in the pit outside the house. We'd finished late, stars pricking sky like needles. Tessa stirred embers, flames licking wood with soft pops. I sat across, heat warming my face, the day's ache settling deep. Smoke curled, carrying pine and char. You settling? She asked, voice cutting quiet. I poked the fire, sparks rising. Trying. Body's learning again. She nodded, eyes on flames. Takes more than muscle, mine too. Words hung, heavy. Vulnerability cracked open. Small, but real. I glanced up, her profile sharp and glow. Why take me on? Could have sent word to town. Gaze met mine, steady. Needed hand. You needed work. Simple. Not simple. But in firelight, suspicion faded just enough. Silence fell again, but warmer now, inviting first truths. Firelight softened her edges that night. Shadows. Playing across Tessa's jaw as she tossed another log on, the flames hissed, sparks lifting like fleeting confessions. I shifted on the log bench, the rough bark pressing into my palms, grounding the stir inside me. Her words lingered, simple, but they pried at the walls I'd built. Vulnerability hung between us, thin as smoke. Next days pulled us closer, not by choice, but necessity. Joint repairs started small, a sagging gate by the corral needing new hinges. We'd work side by side, her knee brushing mine in the dirt as we dug post holes. Proximity built slow, like layers of dust settling. The sun baked our backs, sweat tracing paths down spines, soaking shirts until they clung. I'd hand her the mallet, fingers grazing hers over the handle. Brief, electric. My breath caught each time, but she just swung, wood thudding deep into earth. One afternoon, rain threatened, clouds bruising the sky low. We tackled the barn roof, patching leaks where shingles curled like old skin. Ladder leaned precarious against the eaves, my boots slipping on wet rungs. Tessa steadied from below, hands firm on the rails. Easy, she murmured, voice carrying up through the damp air. I nodded, heart thudding not just from height. Up top, wind whipped, rain starting in fat drops that mixed with our sweat. It slicked her hair, dark, plastering strands to her neck. We passed tin sheets, hands brushing again, longer this time. Water ran between our palms, warm from labor, cool from sky. Sensory pull tightened, her scent of earth and rain cutting through the metallic tang of tools. Internal storm brewed fiercer. Attraction hit like a betrayal, cracking self-control I'd welded tight. Watching her strain against a beam, muscles coiling under damp cloth, stirred heat low in my gut. Wrong, I told myself, in this place of judgments. Town eyes waited, Faith's old chains rattling. But her quiet strength drew me, a magnet to iron. Nights in the bunkhouse, I'd lie awake, body humming from day's work, mind replaying those brushes. What if she saw? What if I broke first? Truth spilling in a glance. Tessa revealed pieces and fragments, quiet as dawnlight. One evening, after we'd wrestled a fallen tree from the creek, trunk heavy, bark rough under gloves, she sat on the bank, wiping mud from her face. Water rushed past, cold and clear. Lost my sister young, she said, unprompted, gaze on the current. Car wreck on the pass. Folks never same after. I stayed, kept this going. No tears, just fact. But pain, etched deeper, like cracks in dry clay. Hidden pains surfaced in her silences, too. Nights she'd stare at the fire longer, hands idle. Past weighed her, unspoken losses mirroring my own buried ones. Did she carry secrets like mine? The ranch felt like her armor, labor her way to hold steady. Small acts wove care into routine, no questions trailing. After long days, she'd leave a plate by the bunkhouse door. Biscuits warm, cheese sharp on the tongue. Or mend my torn glove without. Word, stitches even, leather softened. Shared meals in the kitchen grew habitual, her passing bread across the scarred table, elbows nearly touching. No probing why I'd fled the city, just presence. It chipped at my suspicion. Kindness feeling less like trap, more like tether. Gratitude bloomed fuller, mixing with the pull, making isolation intimate. Tension crept from town edges, whispers slithering in like coyotes. First hint came via mail. Old friend from church. Note, tucked in a package of supplies Tessa ordered. Heard Harper's back. Working for that woman alone? Folks wonder. I crumpled it, stomach nodding. Gossip spread fast here, through Sunday sermons and feed store chats. Church ladies eyed single women like threats, faith twisting care into suspicion. What if they pieced my city life, the lack of a husband, or Tessa's solitude? Barriers I'd thought solid felt porous now, exposure looming closer. Rain held off until it didn't. That night, storm broke fierce, wind howling through cracks, thunder rumbling like herd stampede. Bunkhouse shook, roof drumming under sheets of water. Cold seeped in, blankets, no match. I dressed quick. Boots, splashing to the house, door banged open, Tessa already there, lantern glow, cutting dark. Roof holding? She asked, towel over shoulders. Barely. Wind snatched my words. She nodded toward the couch, fire crackling low. No spare room talk, just space by the hearth. I sat, flames warming chilled skin, her beside me on the floor, knees drawn. Proximity sharpened, storm raging outside, mirroring the crack inside. Rain pelted windows, world narrowing to this room, her shoulder inches from mine. Barriers thinned, heat from fire mingling with hers. Conversation faltered, but eyes met longer, unspoken, pulling taut. Thunder boomed, and her hand brushed my arm, steadying or more. Silence thickened, inviting cracks to widen. Storm faded by morning, leaving mud slick under boots, air heavy with wet earth. I woke on the couch, blanket tangled. Tessa's spot empty beside the fire. She'd risen early, as always, leaving coffee steaming on the table. The gesture pulled at me. Warmth without demand, but fear coiled tighter. That brush of her hand in the thunder's roar lingered, a spark threatening to ignite what I'd buried deep. Openness tempted, words hovering on my tongue, but the town's shadow loomed, faith's old grip squeezing. What if sharing cracked the fragile peace? Days after, I tried. We mended irrigation ditches, water trickling cold through fingers as we cleared debris. Kneeling side by side, mud caking our jeans, I glanced at her profile, jaw set against the wind. City broke me slow, I started, voice low over the rush of stream, hiding who I am, always. Heart thudded, waiting for recoil. She paused, shovel, mid-lift, eyes meeting mine brief. No judgment, just a nod. Dirt-streaked hand, steady on the handle. Hiding wears you down. Simple. But fear surged. Visions of town whispers, family eyes, narrowing. I pulled back, words dying. Forget it. Just the work. She didn't push, but the silence stretched taut, my retreat a wall rebuilt. Sunday called like a summons. Church, the one with steeple-piercing sky like a finger-pointing blame. I hadn't gone since returning, but guilt, gnawed, old habits, pulling. Faith I'd clung to as girl, hymns soothing, prayers a shield, now clashed with the truth blooming here. Emerging self felt sin, attraction to Tessa a forbidden pull. I dressed plain, skirt brushing calves, drove the 10 miles alone. Pews creaked under weight of stairs, preacher's voice booming about repentance, lost lambs. I sat rigid, hands clenched, mind flashing to her steady gaze, the heat of shared labor. Words twisted, love as choice, not curse. But the sermon hammered doubt, God's eye unblinking. After, in the narthex, Aunt spotted me, embrace, stiff. Back for good? Find a man yet? Her eyes flicked over me, probing. Shame flooded, hot and familiar. I mumbled excuses, fled to the truck, engine roaring escape. Faith cracked further, not shattered but hollow, emerging truth louder in the echo. Tessa didn't ask about the visit when I returned, mud from a hasty ditch clearing caking my boots. But encouragement came through action, her way. Next morning, she handed me reins to a mare in foal, belly swollen low. Help with the birth if it comes early. No lecture, just trust in the task. I nodded, fear of the unknown mixing with gratitude. Her belief in my hands steadied me, wordless push against my pullback. We checked the herd together that day, her shoulder brushing mine as we leaned over a fence. Quiet moments multiplied, stolen glances escalating the pull. Watching her adjust a saddle, hands deft on leather, my eyes traced the line of her neck, pulse quickening. Wrong here, in this land of judgments, but undeniable like thirst after dry spell. Labor turned metaphor, raw days later. Midnight call, mare down in the pasture, grunts echoing through dark. We rushed out, lantern swinging, air thick with night chill and animal musk. Tessa knelt first, hands gentle on the flank, voice low, soothing. Breathe with her. I held the light, shadows dancing wild, heart mirroring the strain. Calf came slow, hooves first, slick with fluid, mother straining, eyes wild. I reached in at her nod, pulling with the contraction, muscles burning like my own buried fight, turmoil mirrored, truth pushing out, fear resisting, body and soul locked in push-pull, sweat, stung eyes, the heave and release echoing my internal war. Finally, calf slid free, wet and trembling, mother nosing it to life. Tessa's hand clapped my shoulder, firm. You did that. Pride mixed with ache, the birth a sign. Struggle birthed something new, but fear still clutched. Attraction escalated in those quiet aftermaths. We'd sit by the corral after, steam rising from the new life, stars vast overhead. Her knee touched mine once, accidental, in the dark, but neither moved. Glances lingered longer, her eyes catching mine over coffee at dawn, unflinching, heat built low, body betraying control, nights restless with what-ifs. What if she felt it too? What if town found out? Pull-back instinct won each time, words swallowed, distance kept in small ways, taking longer chores alone, avoiding firelight talks. Complication hit midweek, dust cloud on the horizon, signaling family. Truck pulled up, Ma and brother stepping out, faces etched concern. Heard you're here, working odd jobs. Ma's hugged tight, eyes scanning the ranch like threat. Brother nodded at Tessa in the barn, suspicion plain. Living alone with her? Folks talk, Harper. Church asked after you. Old expectations surged. Marry, settle, hide. Shame burned, their words stirring the closet's dust. I'm fine, just working. But they pressed, Ma's voice soft-edged. Come home proper. This place ain't right for a girl alone. Tessa watched from afar, neutral. But the visit cracked my fragile hold, shame flooding like creek after rain. That evening, tension snapped. We'd finished late, hay bales stacked high, muscles screaming. In the kitchen, her passing a plate, our fingers brushed deliberate this time. Heat flared, but fear won. We can't, I blurted, pulling back sharp. This, us working close. Town sees, family knows. It's too much. Voice cracked, raw. She set the fork down. Gaze steady, but hurt flickering. What can't, the work or more? Argument exposed boundaries, emotions spilling, my fear of exposure clashing her quiet offer. You don't get it. Faith, family, they destroy this. Her jaw tightened. Hiding destroys more. Words hung, room thick with unspoken. I stormed to the bunkhouse, door slamming, heart pounding, the raw truth out. Boundaries blurred, but fear held the line, pulling me back into shadow. Wind picked up that night, rattling the bunkhouse windows like loose shutters. I lay rigid under the blanket, Tessa's words echoing, hiding destroys more. The argument hung heavy, a storm of my own making. Sleep evaded, replaced by the howl outside, gusts bending the pines. By midnight, a crack split the air, sharp as a rifle shot. Fence down, I knew it. Heart pounding, I pulled on boots, grabbed the lantern, and splashed through mud to the house. Door flew open before I reached it. Tessa stood there, coat half on, eyes alert in the yellow glow. West line, she said, no mention of our fight. Just the crisis pulling us together. We drove out in her truck, wipers slashing rain, headlights cutting swaths through sheets of water. The windstorm tore at the valley, sagebrush whipping like flags in surrender. Fence posts leaned drunken, wire snarled in tumbleweeds. A section flattened like a spine snapped. Calves lowed anxious from the broken corral, shadows milling in the downpour. We worked without words at first, me hauling wire rolls heavy with mud, her driving stakes deep into sodden earth. Rain soaked us through, cold lancing skin. But the eye labor bound us, bodies moving in sync. My hands slipped on the pliers, numb, but she'd steady the post, her grip firm beside mine. Reconciliation built in the strain, no apologies spoken, just shared defiance against the gale. By the time we cinched the last twist, dawn edged the horizon gray, exhaustion mingling with a quiet thaw. She clapped mud from her gloves, met my eye. Held! Simple. Enough. Back at the house, steam rose from mugs of coffee, the kitchen warm against our chill. I sat at the table, fingers thawing around the ceramic, vulnerability cracking wider. Words I'd swallowed before, pushed out now, raw from the night's work. City wasn't just a job lost. It was me, crumbling under the weight of pretending. Colleague pushed one night, asked about my life, my girl. I froze, lied, drove home, shaking. Breakdown hit full then. Nights staring at walls. Faith I'd dragged from here, twisting into knots. God family. All demanding I stay hidden. Fled because I couldn't breathe there. Couldn't be. Voice broke on the last, steam blurring my vision. Confession hung, exposed, like the broken fence. Tessa leaned against the counter, gaze unflinching, coffee untouched. Silence stretched, not cold, but full, like the pause before a calf's first breath. Then she spoke, low and measured. I know hiding's cage. She set her mug down, hands flexing as if gripping old reins. Grew up here, same town grip, Loved a girl once, back in school. Stolen moments by the creek, her laugh cutting through my quiet. Suppressed it deep when folks talked marriage. Church eyes watching. She left for city. I stayed. Buried it with this land. Folks died, ranch mine, but the weight stayed. Never said it aloud till now. Her voice steadied, eyes distant on the window rain. Suppressed love mirrored mine, her story a bridge over the chasm I'd built. No pity in her tone, just truth shared, equal. The room warmed, barriers dissolving in the steam and confession. Days softened after, intimacy threading through labor like wire through posts. Nighttime hay baling came urgent, moonful and silver, stars witnesses, overhead. We'd cut swaths in the field, tractor rumbling low, the scent of fresh green rising sharp. Bales dropped heavy, golden in the dark, and we'd wrestle them onto the wagon, bodies straining side by side, sweat slick despite the cool. Her shoulder pressed mine as we stacked, the rhythm intimate, breaths sinking with the lift and toss. Stars wheeled slow, vast sky pressing closeness below. Once, reaching for the same bale, our arms tangled brief, her warmth cutting the night chill. No pull away. Just the work, the nearness, building like hay layers, solid and binding. Emotional payoff, crested subtle, in the quiet after. We'd pause on the wagon's edge, water canteen passed between us, cool, metal touching lips. That night, under the stars' gaze, her hand found mine on the rough wood, tentative, fingers curling slow, skin rough from labor, calluses meshing like puzzle edges. Heat bloomed there, lingering, pulse steady under the touch. No words, just the hold, world narrowing to that point of contact. Fear flickered but faded, replaced by a pull deeper than hiding. Her thumb brushed my knuckle once, deliberate. I leaned in fraction, foreheads nearly touching, breath mingling with hay dust. First real bridge, hands anchoring what words couldn't yet. Subplot of town judgment simmered, but we met it with quiet defiance. Whispers reached via a delivery boy one afternoon, eyes darting as he unloaded feed. Folks saying things, 2 women alone, working close. Church prayer chains buzzin'. I tensed, old shame rising, but Tessa just signed the receipt, gaze level. Let 'em pray. Ranch holds without their say. Later, at the feed store run, stares followed us. Clerks pause, murmurs trailing. She loaded sacks steady, me beside, no shrinking. Defiance quiet in the straight set of her shoulders, my chin lifted, matching. No confrontation, just presence unbroken, judgment deflected like wind off canyon walls. Town's grip loosened fraction, our bond the stronger fence. Dawn broke clear after the baling, light spilling gold over the stacked hay, world fresh-washed. I stood by the corral, muscles aching sweet, Tessa leading horses out. Touch from last night echoed in my palm, a warmth persisting. Survival's edge blurred, shifting to possibility. Life here not just endurance, but something blooming. Her glance caught mine over the mare's back, a small nod inviting forward. The valley stretched open, no longer cage, but canvas. Dawn's light lingered soft that morning, but the air carried a heaviness, like the valley holding its breath. I fed the horses, their warm breath fogging my hands, the routine a thin shield against the pull from last night's touch. Tessa's fingers on mine echoed in every motion, a quiet promise amid the haze rustle. But peace shattered mid-morning, dust rising from the road like a warning plume. Family truck again, Ma's face pale through the windshield, brother gripping the wheel tight. They'd come unannounced, eyes scanning the yard as if measuring threats in the stacked wood and empty corrals. I wiped sweat from my brow, stepping out to meet them. Ma descended first, skirt dusted from the drive, arms open but stiff. Harper, we need to talk. Her voice cut low, edged with the church's rhythm, measured, urgent. Brother hung back, arms crossed, gaze flicking to the house where Tessa emerged from the barn, pausing with a coil of rope in hand. No approach, just watch. Ma pulled me aside, toward the fence line, her hand cool on my arm. Folks in town are talking heavy now. You here with her, no family, no church. Deacon called, said it's unbecoming. Come home, pack up today. This place ain't safe for your soul. Ultimatum landed like a post-driven, deep final. Expectations crashed back. Marry the deacon's son, fill pews with proper life, hide the truth forever. Shame burned fresh, old. Faith demanding surrender. Ma, I can't. This is my place now. Voice wavered, but she shook her head, eyes wet. It's sin they're whispering. Leave before it stains us all. Brother nodded. Silent support. The weight of generations pressing. Storm brewed inside, emotions churning like clouds gathering west. Tessa approached slow, boots measured in the dirt, rope looped over her shoulder. She stopped at a distance, gaze steady on me, not them. No intrusion, just presence. Ma straightened, voice sharpening. This you're doing, keeping my girl out here? Tessa met her eyes, unflinching, jaw set like canyon rock. She's working, earning her keep. No one's keeping her. Simple, no defense, just fact. Ma's lips thinned. Town knows better. 2 women alone. It's wrong. Tessa didn't flinch, hands loose at sides. Wrong's what you make it. She stays if she wants. Permanent. No conditions. Room, work, whatever she needs. Offer hung clear. A stand without fanfare. Ranch is home, not charity. Brother shifted, uncomfortable, but Ma pulled me closer. Choose, Harper, us or this. Heart hammered, family pulling one way, Tessa's quiet the other. Emotions stormed, doubt and desire clashing like thunderheads. Sky darkened sudden, wind picking up sharp, carrying the metallic scent of rain. First drops hit fat and cold, splattering dust into mud. Ma glanced skyward, urging, See? Even God's saying leave. But I stood rooted, the downpour mirroring turmoil inside. Cold, lashing skin, blurring lines between fear and resolve. Family retreated to the truck, engine rumbling protest. Ma's last look, a plea twisted with judgment. Tires spun gravel as they pulled away, leaving me soaked, chest heaving. Tessa stepped closer, rain sheeting off her cap. You all right? Voice low over the roar. I nodded, but tears mixed with water on my face. They want me gone, like always. She reached, hand on my shoulder, steady through the wet. Not from here. We moved to the barn for shelter, rain hammering the tin roof like accusations. Inside, dim light filtered through cracks, horses shifting restless in stalls, their warmth cutting the chill. Water dripped from our clothes, pooling on the straw-strewn floor. Crisis peaked there, emotions flooding with the storm. I paced, words spilling raw. I can't hide anymore. Not from them, not from this. Stopped before her, breath ragged. You, us. I feel it, Tessa. More than work, more than silence. Confession burst, mutual now. Feelings laid bare in the shelter's hush. Her eyes held mine. Rain drumming backdrop. Felt it too, from those first fences. You see me, Harper. No masks. Voice cracked fraction, vulnerability matching mine. Revelation sealed it. Truths aligning like posts in a line. Suppressed no longer, love acknowledged in the storm's roar. Turning point hit, sharp. Choice crystallized. Embrace truth over hiding. Family's ultimatum, the final shove. I stay, I said firm, the words grounding like driven stakes. With you. Here. No more pullback. Fear yielding to the pull we'd built in labor and glances. She nodded, slow, relief softening her lines. Then we hold this together. Sensory climax crested as thunder boomed close, lightning flashing white through the doors. Rain poured relentless, but she closed the gap, arms pulling me in. Warmth cut the cold downpour's edge, her body solid against mine, heart thudding steady under wet shirt. Embrace held, water slick between us, but heat bloomed deep, chasing chill. Straw crunched under our boots. Horse knickers soft counterpoint. No rush, just the hold. World outside raging while inside calmed. Her breath warmed my neck, hands firm on my back, anchoring the shift. Truth embraced, hiding shed like soaked coat. Aftermath settled as rain eased to patter, storm passing like spent fury. We stepped back, but connection lingered, resolve new and solid. Valley air cleared, sun-piercing clouds gold. I met her gaze, unflinching now. What next? She smiled faint. First real one. Work, same as always. But together. Resolve bloomed quiet. Crisis weathered into strength. Barn felt different, shelter true, not just wood and beams. We walked out into the clearing, mud sucking at boots, but steps lighter. Possibility stretched ahead, no longer shadowed. Sun broke full that afternoon, drying the mud into cracked paths we navigated back to the house. Tessa's hand brushed mine once, deliberate now, as we crossed the yard. Rough palms, meeting brief, a quiet seal on the barn's promise. No words needed yet. The labor ahead would weave it deeper. Integration started simple, decisions shared like tools passed in the field. Next morning, over coffee steaming thick in the kitchen, she unrolled a faded map on the table, finger tracing irrigation lines snaking through the valley. Creek's low this season. Need to dig new channels, or the north pasture dries out. Her voice steady, eyes lifting to mine. Not a command, but an invitation. I leaned in, elbow touching hers on the scarred wood, tracing the pencil marks she'd added overnight. Start at the bend. Wider there. Holds water better. She nodded. No hesitation. Rolling it up together. Equal now. Partnership in the creases of that paper. Decisions no longer hers alone, but ours. Layered like the soil we turned. Ranch life folded me in fuller. Rhythms, sinking like breaths after strain. Days stretched with shared weight. Me leading the team on fence checks. Her handling the books in the dim office off the kitchen. We'd confer at noon, sweat-damp shirts sticking as we planned feed runs or vet calls. Her input on my suggestions met with a tilt of her head. Considering, then affirming. Good call on the oats. Horses hold better. No hierarchy in the dust. Just two sets of hands shaping the place. Evenings, we'd split chores without ask. Me mucking while she rubbed down the mares, then converging in the barn to tally supplies, shoulders brushing in the narrow aisle. The isolation of the valley amplified it. No town eyes intruding yet, just the wind carrying our quiet agreements across the hills. Body and mind settled into it, the ache of new muscle fading to a steady hum, like the ranch itself breathing even. Self-acceptance wove through slow, faith reshaping in the quiet spaces. Old beliefs lingered like stubborn roots, church's voice echoing in dreams, judgment heavy as a fallen log. But here, trust redefined it, not in sermons, but in the tangible. Tessa's gaze holding mine without demand, the way she'd wait after a long day, lantern lit by the fire pit, no questions on my silences. One dawn as we saddled horses for a ridge ride, wind tugging at manes, I voiced it, halting. Faith used to mean hiding, God watching every slip. Now, it's this, trusting you, trusting me not to break. She adjusted the cinch, hands steady on leather, then met my eyes over the horse's back. Faith's what holds when storms hit, like us last night. No preaching, just truth, grounded in the salt of our skin, the reliability of reins in hand. Journey turned inward, acceptance blooming in small releases, prayers swapped for the ranch's pulse, self no longer enemy but ally, mirrored in her unflinching presence. Doubts surfaced still, whispers of unworthiness in the dark, but labor drowned them. Each post set, each bale stacked a step toward believing I belonged. Whole. Romance grew subtle, laced into daily rituals like thread through denim. Mornings started with coffee shared on the porch, mugs warm between palms, her foot nudging mine under the rail. Affection. Light as dew on sage. We'd ride out together, her leading on the bay, me trailing, but pauses came natural now. Horses grazing while we'd dismount by a stream, sitting close on flat rocks, water murmuring over stones. Her hand would find my knee once, thumb circling slow, heat building quiet under the sun's climb. Evenings by the fire, flames crackling low, she'd pass a blanket over my shoulders, fingers lingering on my arm, pulling me nearer till our sides pressed solid. Kisses came rare at first, tentative under starlight, lips brushing soft after a shared laugh over a botched repair, her taste of earth and salt grounding the rush. No rush in it. Affection threaded the ordinary, a hand at my low back guiding through the barn door, or her, waking me with a touch to the shoulder, breath warm on my neck. Intimacy deepened in the isolation, bodies learning each other through work's echo. Sweat slick after haying, collapsing side by side on the couch, her head on my thigh, fingers tracing idle patterns on my leg. Subtle, but steady, like the valley's slow carve. Final doubts crept in waves, town's pull testing the edges. Whispers reached fuller now, feed delivery with sidelong glances. A note from church ladies slid under the gate. Soul care offered, if needed. Old fears stirred, exposure's shadow long. Overcoming came public in the small ways. Defiance, quiet as dawn. First the store. Run, we went together, Tessa loading sacks while I paid, our hands brushing deliberate over the counter, clerk's eyes widening but silent. No hiding the ease between us, shoulders touching as we walked out, chins level. Then, Sunday. I skipped church alone no more. We drove past the steeple, her hand on my thigh, steady through the gear shift. A silent choice. Family called once, Ma's voice thin over the line. Come for dinner. Bring sense. I went, Tessa waiting in the truck, but inside, words held firm. I'm staying. With her. It's right for me. No details spilled, just acknowledgement. Truth partial but public. Shame, shedding like old skin. Brothers nod reluctant, Ma's silence heavy, but the door closed softer after. Back at the ranch, Tessa met me at the gate, arms open, embrace cutting the day's weight. Doubts faded in those acts, public threads weaving security. Payoff settled deep, belonging rooting in the rural hush. Isolation no longer cage, but cradle. Valley walls holding our world close. Nights lying tangled in her bed now. Sheets worn soft, her body curve fitting mine. The ranch felt alive around us. Coyotes' calls, a lullaby, not threat. Mornings woke to her stirring first, coffee brewing, pulling me into the rhythm without words. Sense of home bloomed full, not in fanfare, but the quiet. Hands clasped over breakfast, plans murmured in the saddle, the land responding to our care. No more stranger in my skin. Here, in the dust and labor, I fit, self-accepted, love a steady flame against the wind. Future whispered in fragments, plans for expansion, seeding like spring rain. Over dinner one night, stew simmering on the stove, Tessa sketched on a napkin, new corral by the creek, more pasture cleared for a small herd. Could use your eye on the layout, make it hold through winters. I traced the lines, adding notes. Wider gate here, for easier foaling. Together it grew. Visions of solar pumps, guest cabins, maybe, turning isolation to sustainable stretch. No rush, but the foreshadow held promise. Ranch evolving with us. Future a shared horizon. That quiet evening, fire low in the pit, embers glowing like held secrets, we sat wrapped in one blanket, her arm around my waist, head on my shoulder. Valley stretched dark beyond, stars pricking vast. Reflection came soft, day's labor settling in bones. This, I murmured, hand over hers. Feels like home. She squeezed, breath warm on my neck. It is. Silence fell inviting. Stories close in the hush, ready for tomorrow's light. Our hands clasped under the vast sky, fingers laced tight like fence wire, holding steady. Silence wrapped us now, not empty, but an invitation, pulling us deeper into the ranch's rhythm. If you've ever found home in quiet truths like this, share yours in the comments below. Subscribe for more stories of Sapphic hearts finding their place.